Impossible Foods might be the world's most ambitious company. Just listen to founder and CEO Pat Brown.
People wonder how big the plant-based meat industry is going to be. It will be the meat industry in 20 years. We're going to look back and basically say, wow, remember back in the day when we used to use animals to make meat?
Yes, Impossible's stated goal really is to replace the use of animals as a food production technology globally by 2035. That would mean supplanting a $1.2 trillion industry, not to mention a source of sustenance as old as time. To be fair, the company has got a lot of people talking about its products.
So there's this thing called the Impossible Burger.
What's called artificial meat.
The realest, fakest burger in the world.
Not bad.
But before Impossible Foods can take over the world, it's going to have to overcome strong competitors, penetrate tough new markets, and generally transform its product from a conversation piece into a ubiquitous staple food. With the coronavirus turning the world of food upside down, this could be the moment when Impossible's newfangled meat goes mainstream. Impossible Foods was founded in 2011 when Pat Brown, a longtime vegan, was nearing the end of an accomplished career in biochemistry.
I've been a scientist my whole life and just came to this realization that by far the most important scientific question in the world is, what makes meat delicious?
Pat Brown, some would call a zealot for his mission. He really doesn't hold back when it comes to talking about wanting to completely replace animal agriculture.
Producing meat from animals is the most destructive technology on Earth, and if we're going to avert catastrophic climate change, we have to find a better way to produce meat.
You've probably heard about the dangers of cow flatulence. Their digestive systems produce large quantities of the powerful greenhouse gas, methane. In fact, it's estimated that livestock farming is responsible for nearly 15% of all greenhouse gas emissions. Impossible claims it takes 89% less GHGs, 87% less water, and 96% less land to produce its burger. The key, of course, would be to get people to actually eat the thing, which is where the company's secret ingredient comes in. Heme, a genetically engineered substance with a bloody iron-rich taste like red meat.
So heme is a very controversial part of the Impossible Burger. It's also what makes the Impossible Burger what it is. There are a lot of consumer groups and anti-GMO groups that oppose the Impossible Burger because of the heme. The studies on its safety are pretty short term, but the FDA has approved it and the company says it's completely safe, and there isn't any evidence that it isn't.
Critics have also challenged the company's claim to health advantages over traditional meat, pointing out that while the Impossible Burger has less fat, sodium, and calories than its beefy cousin, it's also more highly processed. But let's be real, we're talking about mimicking hamburgers here, not kale salads.
These burgers are definitely better for the environment, so that's a plus, but they are not necessarily better for your health.
After years in the lab, Pat and his colleagues were confident they had a product even Ron Swanson could love, and the Impossible Burger made its debut in 2016.
Their burger began its life in the public when it was sold at David Shank's Momofuku. And they went from sort of higher-end fine dining restaurants into higher-end burger restaurants like Bear Burger and Umami Burger. And then suddenly they started popping up everywhere.
This tastes like a burger. It tastes like meat.
This is all made from plants.
It's all made from plants.
This tastes like beef.
Doesn't that just look like real meat?
So meat-like.
They always say it's just like a burger. It tastes like yuckers.
Beef farmers of the world, relax.
No, it doesn't taste like a burger.
Opinions differed on the Impossible Burger's relative meatiness, but the debate itself was fantastic free advertising, helping to propel Impossible into major chains like White Castle, and then in the summer of 2019, into more than 7,000 Burger Kings across the US. To date, the company has raised over $1 billion, and a funding round in March valued the company at around $4 billion. But fake meat is a happening space these days, and Impossible faces some daunting competition.
Time now for the stock of the hour, and that is Beyond Meat. Shares of the faux meat or plant-based protein company are soaring today.
Beyond Meat is also making a very meaty burger from plants. They're very non-GMO. They stress that all the time to differentiate themselves from Impossible.
It would be much easier to genetically modify plant material to make it take on the texture and appearance and aroma of animal protein, but we won't do that.
Beyond Meat had one of the biggest IPOs of the year in 2019, so Impossible, which is still privately held, has some catching up to do. But you won't hear Pat Brown knocking his biggest competitor.
I wish them nothing but success. They have the same mission we have. The only rival we care about is the incumbent animal-based industry.
Rivals or not, Impossible and Beyond certainly agree on one thing. The true prize isn't the American market, it's China. 27% of the world's meat is consumed in China, compared to just 9% in the US.
The Chinese population eats a ton of meat. They're a huge market. China's a really interesting case because they have long had vegetarian cuisine as part of their culinary culture, and whether they are looking for meat replacements is still an open question. What we found in our reporting is that some consumers are excited about them. It's just, we don't know if it's going to be enough.
To improve its prospects, Impossible is developing a plant-based replacement for pork.
Globally, pork is the most widely consumed meat. It's almost 40% of all the meat consumed globally. #1 in Europe, #1 in China. So if we're going to achieve our mission, pork is, right up there.
No word yet on when Impossible pork will be available.
This morning, growing concerns about the nation's food supply.
From butchers to national supermarkets, supplies now limited and prices rising.
The impact of the coronavirus on the price and availability of meat has given a boost to companies like Impossible Foods. Over the 4 weeks ending April 19th, sales of plant-based meat increased. But Impossible has acknowledged some negative effects from the pandemic as well.
This being a product that has primarily been served in restaurants, they took a pretty big hit with all the food service shutdowns, although the company doesn't want to say, how much of a hit. They have, however, announced some new retail rollouts. Recently, they announced that they're going to be rolling out with Kroger supermarkets, and that's big. That's great for them. The question of whether this is like a long-term sea change for these companies, I don't know. Just have to wait and see.
It's safe to say Impossible stands a slim chance of achieving its goal of replacing the entire meat industry. But it's early days for the science of plant-based meat, and it's not impossible that these products could one day contribute to a greener, more humane future. In the meantime, as the technology improves, we get to look forward to many more years of this.
This is meat.
Wait,
no, this is Impossible.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is the meat burger.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it better.
It's not even close to a veggie burger or a tofu burger or anything like that. It's very, very much a burger.
This tastes like a burger. It tastes like meat.
A substantial meat.